Can someone verify
Facebook is
Facebook?
good.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yep.
Well, welcome everybody to the 034 Motorsport Live.
Oh. Or it's YouTube. Now it says we're live. So
YouTube?
Instagram's
good.
Instagram's good.
All right. Welcome to the live, everybody. I'm Javad, and this is Nate. We're here to answer all your questions about all things 034 Motorsport. We take a no BS approach to responding to questions. If you like us, please let us know. We'd love to hear it. And if you don't like us, definitely let us know so we can talk about it, figure out what's going on. Questions about all things automotive, any kind of topic is appropriate. We don't shy away from weighing into supposedly controversial topics. Usually they're not as controversial as it seems. Yeah, put your questions into the browser of your choice, and we will respond to as many questions as we can in the time that we have, which is about an hour. So, I miss anything? I think I'm good, right? All right.
You said Facebook's good, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not showing me anything. I believe it. Look at that.
All right. All right. Someone's asking about any SQ7 parts coming. We did just release SQ7 sway bars, which are phenomenal. I have them on my Q7. It completely transforms the car. Lowering links are available as well. I don't think we're specifically targeting SQ7 parts, but anything that we develop for kind of the Q7, the 4M?
4M, yeah.
4M platform is going to fit the SQ7 as well. So hopefully we will get to tuning at some point, but it's not imminent. Definitely something we will do though. Patiently waiting to ask about the B9 SQ5 Open intake product drop. Oh yeah. Well, we can talk about the world record, but when are we scheduled to release that?
I'm waiting for him to send me some stuff. So,
the intake.
Oh, the intake. Have everything to build it. So
yeah. The B9 SQ5 S34 Open intake should release this week. Everything's here. Finally, we got all the parts. It will be a very affordable, high value, high quality intake product for the SQ5. We already have our X34, which is a full carbon box, but that ends up being pretty expensive. So we wanted to bring in kind of a lower cost option as well. So stay tuned for that. Can you explain why 034 chose aluminum for B9 rear diff mount insert and transmission mount insert? ECS, BFI, and others chose to use polyurethane. Yeah, because polyurethane is an inferior product for use in inserts like that. It literally, due to the heat, it falls apart. And it's being heated and compressed like that. And so many of our customers who have run these other type of poly inserts, when they finally want to go with a good option like the 034, they actually have to dig out like the pieces of poly from their factory mount with like a pick, because it just kind of crumbles in there. It's actually the entire reason we started doing inserts is because everything on the market was poly, and we, in our service departments and even in our own cars, we would install these poly ones and they would just fall apart. So aluminum is the right material. We do all of our inserts in aluminum. It has the structural integrity to withhold the compression and heat forces that are demanding of an insert type mount product. And the aluminum is also kind of flexible too, so it can kind of move with the mount when it needs to. And it's a relatively inexpensive material, say compared to stainless steel, which is, there's no reason to make these inserts out of stainless steel. So the material cost is much higher. The machining time is substantially more expensive. So we would just be adding, expense for no reason. So these aluminum inserts are pretty much lifetime products. We've been selling these for, 8 years probably.
Oh, at least.
I think, 0 through 4, we really popularized this aluminum insert concept, which virtually nobody was doing before. So now you see lots of knockoffs and copying.
Yeah, poly's just a much cheaper, like Joe said, inferior way to do it. The material just doesn't hold up. And as far as NVH, it's going to be very little difference between them. You're still within that rubber isolation of the mount, so it's not like you're solely relying on the interface of aluminum to whatever the hard point on the car is.
Why do your strut mounts bearings for the Golf R make so much noise? They don't.
Which Golf R are we talking?
Yeah, any of them.
6, maybe 7.
Any of them. I mean, so the question is, why is your car so noisy?
Yeah, usually it's down to the torque on the top nut
of
the strut. That's a tough one to get properly torqued. That's generally what we see when there's a noise complaint.
Yeah, we actually sell and provide factory OEM strut bearings. So there's nothing different about our strut bearings than the fact we actually order them directly from Volkswagen. Any of our strut mounts, our density mounts, or our camber correcting mounts, there is nothing in them that can make noise. There's no moving parts. There's no pieces that are separate. In the case of the density mounts, the steel cup in the middle is vulcanized to the rubber body. It's one piece. And in the case of our camber correcting mounts, we have a rubber strut mount that's sandwiched inside an aluminum casing, and it cannot move. It cannot make noise. So the only thing that can really make noise is the interface between the strut nut and the strut shaft and the strut bearing mount assembly. If there's any kind of movement in there due to improper torque, that will create noise. So we do get tech support questions once in a while about this, and it's always the nut. So you're going to want to check the torque on your nut to make sure that that's completely tight. And other than that, it should be very quiet. So I don't know what other noises there could be. It's not a new product. We've been selling the density strut mounts for 7 to 10 years or something.
Yeah,
they've been out for a while. The problem with the factory OEM strut mounts is they squeak because the steel sleeve in the middle is not vulcanized to the rubber. So the steel sleeve and the rubber start moving independently, and when you put stiffer suspension on, those forces increase and it starts squeaking. Our mounts do not squeak because there's nothing to squeak. B9 S5 Stage 1 ECU, Stage 2 TCU. You have previously stated that target oil temps are above approximately 210 degrees. My car is usually under 200 degrees highway cruising, even at 95 degree ambient. Is there an issue?
It's so funny what some communities latch onto.
I know. Nobody
never had oil temp questions like this until B9.
There's an obsession about it.
I guess it's because it's on the dash and readily visible.
Yeah, it must be.
Around 200 is normal on all these. It's cruising and those kind of targets around 200. I don't know. We maybe need to be less specific, but is going to be totally normal. So it's going to totally depend on the ambient and what kind of load you're getting into the motor.
What FAQ video?
Just the cutout from 2 weeks ago, I believe.
I need to know about that stuff.
No.
Yeah, I didn't read the comments or anything. He just
B9 S4 S5. Do you ever plan on offering a tune for Stage 3 710 with upgraded injectors to get more power out of E85 or to support a higher headroom of feeling? It's something that obviously we know about, and we're not currently planning on doing a lot more with the 710. But
yeah, we've got a couple of revisions incoming, but not another full injector tune. We haven't roadmapped that at all. But there will be, some minor updates that we're working on them across the board on.
It's possible at some point we will, but nothing is. That's pretty low priority compared to other things we're working on. How much parasitic loss does the AC system add to a B8.5 S4? Can the ECU tune include a feature to shut it off when wide open throttle or the pedal button is mashed?
Yeah, it already does that.
That's already a thing.
Yep, that's a thing.
I think the AC compressor is probably like 10 horsepower or something like that.
It's going to depend on RPM.
Yeah.
A bunch more parasitic or a bunch more.
But like
losses.
On a wide open throttle pull, that's what I'm talking.
But yeah, that should be disabled already on any hard acceleration.
Yeah.
You don't have to be into the D10. Not everybody has the D10.
I mean, isn't that a factory? It's a
factory mapped. Yep.
Do that, living in Colorado, how much of a power loss should I expect running a bandimere on the B8.5 S4 and S3?
Running at bandimere.
Oh,
right. I can't remember what the altitude is at bandimere. It's going to depend on what your DA is at the day. It obviously drops. I think rule of thumb is like around 5% of every 1,000 horsepower thereabouts, but it's
6,000.
6,000, sure.
6,000 feet, that is.
He's at 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
So it'll be down substantial amount, regardless. The supercharged cars, some guys will up pulley those a little bit to try and get some of that boost back. Like say if you're running a stage 2 file, some guys that are just constantly living at altitude will run a 2+ pulley to get some of that back. But yeah, you got less air to work with, so everything's gonna be working harder to power.
Yeah. Now the supercharged motor is it targeting a boost?
Well, it is, but it's always going to be whatever the pulley can provide, whatever the pulley combo can provide. So it's not going to be necessarily targeting a pressure ratio across the supercharger.
Yeah.
That is in there as well, but there's enough headroom there. It's going to be riding essentially a boost cap. So that's why you can generally upsize the pulley a little bit at altitude and get away with it.
Yeah.
It's just going to make, just like down here, your air temps will be a little higher. It's working harder to compress the air.
The difference or loss in power is usually quite a bit less on force inducted motors compared to like a normally aspirated motor.
You can make up for a lot more,
turbo motors they do make less power, but if the turbo has the headroom in it, then like a factory car should really be no different.
A lot of them are, they've got so much headroom built in for that reason. That's why we're able to get a bunch of power out of them, especially at sea level. They build in all this headroom, so you get the same experience regardless of what altitude you're at within reason.
Will I be able to flash my MK8 GTI with your mobile app?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, all.
I want to say everything. We're
pretty much everything.
Yeah, everything we can flash right now through our normal tuning portal is supported.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. TCUs, ECUs, MED9, MED17, TP2, UDS. All of that is in there.
Mm-hmm. Someone's asking if they can install an aftermarket exhaust on our stage 1 tuning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Can you use test pipe file on gutted cats until I get my test pipes?
You can. Sure. I don't know what vehicle we're talking about here, but that's typically going to be one and the same between a test pipe file and a gutted cat setup.
Yeah. Someone's asking, how often do we find issues with products not matching specifications, drawings, etc.? It's pretty rare based on the suppliers that we use and that we work with.
If you're super consistent, that's not someone you're going to work with or a process you want.
Right, that consistently delivered, out of specification products or that failed our QC, we would stop using. When you have like over 1,000 products like we support, and there's always like one or two things you're always dealing with. The key for us is to catch it before it becomes an issue for a customer, and then try to resolve it as quickly as possible. But even with our best suppliers, and we have suppliers that do military specification work, They do aerospace, and even things from them gets out of spec, sometimes, or done incorrectly. So there is this element of human error that just enters no matter what company you are. The only way to deal with it is, your quality checks on either side before the product is released. And of course, the quality of the internal processes and things like that. But, if you're just like using Alibaba suppliers from China, then yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. Almost everything's going to show up out of specification. And inconsistencies. So, and you go on eBay, that's pretty much what you're getting, that kind of stuff. Hi, it's John, 3.0 TFSI Audi A7 with stage 203.4 tune and TC tune, and when cruising at 60 kilometers per hour, I plant my foot. There's a noticeable delay before kickdown. What can be done to decrease the kickdown lag? I mean, this is an 8-speed tranny. Those generally will, you're going to be up in a higher gear even at 60 kph. You're probably dropping 4 or 5 gears. You are, yeah. So yeah, there's going to be the transmission's doing some stuff. The best way around that is, you can drive in a different mode. You can drive it in sport mode. You can drive in manual mode, and kind of what you're about to do, so you can preemptively downshift if you know what's coming. The transmission's always reactive. It's going to assume also that, like normal cruising condition, before you put it down, it's ready to go to the next gear, not go down 4 gears because it thinks you're going to instantly mash the gas. So. Yeah, this is the price you pay for just going from like super relaxed cruise mode to full balls deep acceleration. And it just, like Nate said, the transmission has to shift into a totally different mode. And that takes, it's probably not as long as you think, but it's maybe like a second or something like that. Yep. By the time you really get thrown back in your seat. The best way to manage this, like Nate said, would be to be in sport mode or to be in manual mode and be, fight ready. Yeah, you know what you're going to do. The car has to react. You have all the inputs there. You can drop the gears if you're, you got something coming up and you want to get around, a car or whatever it is. Yeah, it would be much better to be in manual mode and 3 gears down from where you would be in drive, and then you could just drop a gear and accelerate, and that would be a relatively instantaneous process. Yeah, and other people are saying, you can hold the pedal back, and it'll drop to the lowest gear possible. That's also the ZF8 thing. The lever. Yeah, you just hold the downshift down. It'll grab the lowest gear possible, typically. Yeah. So, imagine you had a manual transmission, right? You're in 6th gear. You're essentially going down to like 3rd or 2nd. So, in the old days, we used to actually have to be engaged with the driving process to get that kind of acceleration. It's still the case, even though the car's so driving itself, practically driving itself. There are still mechanical limitations in place. Can you make pops more aggressive? The Golf R Mk8 ones are unpredictable and don't always trigger. I'm trying to get pops and race drift special that do it consistently. Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of guys that want less as well. So it's tough to kind of find that balance. I think we're at kind of that middle zone right now. Do you think running a stage 1 tune on a B8.5 SQ5 in Alabama is going to cause much heat soaking? You mean one of the hottest places on the earth? I mean, it's a warm. It depends on the year, but the time of year. But it's a warm environment, and it's a humid environment. It's hot, so hot and sticky. So it's going to add heat. It depends how you're driving too. I mean, if you're 99% of the time not foot to the floor, wide open throttle, it's going to be just the same as it is now. I would suggest getting a heat exchanger on there. There's no downside to it. Stock, even if you're just staying stock, I'd get a heat exchanger on the thing. That'll just help maintain and keep the air temps as low as they can be. But yeah, I mean, yeah, in the summer in Alabama, you're gonna be as heat soaked as anywhere. Yeah, because it is hot and humid. I think in December or January, when it's 35 or 40 degrees out, or depending on where in Alabama you are, then no, probably no issues. Someone has, as we suspected, brought up the whole IE. What are we calling this?
Oh,
Other than IE gauge or
I don't know.
That's mine.
yeah, it's frequent, but there is a current IE scandal afoot, and the community is very engaged.
It is going both ways.
So we will address that maybe in about 10-15 minutes, or maybe towards the end. You know how, like, in the reality TV shows, they always like keep the really juicy thing for the end of the episode, so keep it chicken. So why don't we do that? But yes, we do have a statement that we released,
and we've already put this up.
Yeah,
publicly.
we've already.
Welcome to any more specific questions you have.
You may not have seen it.
Yep.
And we could address any questions. We'll try to be diplomatic as possible. Hate to kick a man when he's down, but yeah, we can discuss that, and of course it's relevant to 034 customers because many of you are projecting what's going on with them onto the possibility that it's relevant in our tuning as well. So we can address that. How bad is B9 S4 heat soak? With a stock intercooler, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean that's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, those intercoolers are teeny. I mean, it's the same intercooler as on the B9 A4.
It's an A4 intercooler.
It's woefully undersized for what those motors are.
It's even too small for stock. It could have benefited from something twice as big in stock. So yes, but thankfully there are some wonderful options out there, like the Wagner. The Wagner makes a great kit. We will release something eventually as well. With Halloween quickly approaching, what is the main candy you guys always steal from your kids? Oh, I like this question.
Anything Reese's, I'm all over that.
Yeah, the Reese's.
I just tell the kids how spicy they are and they shouldn't touch it.
That's a good one. Yeah. Let's remember that.
They caught on a while ago, but I still try.
Thankfully, my kids have so much candy that they like willfully and gleefully give it away.
They won't give up a thing. You got to sneak that stuff away.
Like, we're talking like pillowcases.
Dude, we have bags on top of our fridge just full of like candy, and it's like they have an internal inventory system that just tracks every single one. Any shrinkage in there, they're on you.
I for sure will go after the Sour Patch Kids. The original, not the tropical or whatever the bullshit watermelon is. Fuck that.
It's a tiki.
Yeah, and Butterfingers.
Ooh, yeah. Those are just like stick in your teeth.
I know, I like that. It like sticks
you just enjoy it for hours.
And then I just let it like. Well, chisel. I wish it would lasted hours. It lasted 15 minutes, but. Also, the $100,000 bar I think is so underrated.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one. And the kids don't even see it.
Not paydays too. Paydays
are nice with the peanuts. You know, I'll qualify. I don't and can't eat a lot of candy unless I want to get really fat.
Yeah, I don't. Can't think of the last time I've ever bought any candy or intentionally.
Yeah. You guys are awesome with your transparent approach, and your brutal honesty makes for some very entertaining viewing.
Oh, thanks.
Some beautiful remarks. Well, I've never heard of the things I say called beautiful.
Beautiful. No, thank you.
Usually it's quite the opposite.
It's quite flattering, but no, we are, at various levels of awakeness here in the morning and just off the cuff with everything. So, yeah.
I think, what you guys see is very much, how I am as a person. I'll blame it on I'm somewhere on the spectrum of ADHD and some kind of little autism here and there, probably a little Asperger's, I don't know, but like, I don't have a problem saying what needs to be said, but I think I'm joking about, I've never been diagnosed with anything.
I think they removed Asperger's from the spectrum too.
Did they? I
think so.
Really? Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So maybe I do have it. For me, it's a way I've learned to live of why put off the inevitable when you can just talk about it right now. And yes, there is, I think, a lot of people in our society, I don't know much about societies in Europe and other places in the world, but like here in the US, people are terrified to talk about what's wrong, what's happening, and so what you see in America and what I see is a lot of passive aggressive communication. People can't say, hey, what you did hurt my feelings. Can we talk about it so that in the future we can cultivate a different outcome? It's, hey, let me make little jokes about how you are and what you do and hope the message gets through, but it probably won't because it just hurts your feelings because you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if anybody says anything at all, it's so much just like ghosting or just
well, then there's stonewalling,
just completely ignoring anything that's in front of you.
So, yeah, it's just, and that's just, it's become kind of a culture here at the company where when something's wrong, we just talk about it and we get it out of the way so that it doesn't blow up into some bigger thing. And so that ultimately has translated to the way we do our customer service, to the way we do our marketing. And of course you hear it from us because, and you also see the ramifications of it, which is why a lot of people don't speak like this, but our competitors do get angry at us. And the funny thing is they respond passive aggressively. And then so we go to them and say, hey, we noticed you're doing this thing.
Right.
Is there something going on that we need to know about? And then they finally say, well, yeah, you said this thing on the live or whatever. And it was like, okay, well, it was the truth, though.
Here's why
it needed to be said. If you want to talk about it more, you can. That's ultimately the way I like to live. So it's nice to see it appreciated. So thank you. What's your recommended pulley setup for your B8 cams? That's a good question. I mean, it will work with any of them.
It'll work with any of them, yeah. I figure out what the ratio is on that.
Well, we tested.
I mean, I really like we tested. I've done stage 2, basically.
That was stage 2, which was 30 wheel.
Well, that was 2+. We got the 30 wheel out.
Okay, 2+.
I tracked it on stage 2 a couple months ago. Felt great. I mean, yeah, it all works. It's you just get a nice, a little more gradual climb and power output towards redline on any of the tune, stages.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you can run stock ratio and have a nice, really efficient breathing, low air temp setup.
The cams will improve power on any pulley setup.
Yeah.
I think over time, hopefully more people, jump on the mod and do it. And post their results, so the community could get more engaged.
Possibly. Yeah, having some good before and afters is key.
We're never going to be able to do as much as the community can do. So for us, it's like, hey, here's a great mod, do it, show everyone, the benefit.
And that's the struggle with people will complain, well, you don't have dyno numbers or these drag racing or quarter mile records for XYZ combo, and it's like, well. Yeah, we've got, so many hours in the day, and we've got so many different configurations that we've got, at play here that people are shooting for the ultimate, records or numbers or information on. The car has to be configured properly for each of those for it to mean anything. So that means it's pulley ratio, whatever throttle body or ported blower, stock blower, whatever, what have you, it all is a part of that. So there's a myriad of combinations these days that these cars can be set up in.
But there's, I guess, at the end of the day, there's not necessarily an answer.
No, it's your use case.
The cams will produce more power the more power your motor produces. Right. So the cams, they allow X% more air to come into the combustion chamber to go boom. And so the more air that's coming in, the more boost, then the cams will scale up the power.
It's a more efficient air pump.
So it stands to reason, the cams will make the most power on the most aggressive high power pulley ratio.
Right. But, there's the same trade-offs with heat and all the other things come along with the higher pulley ratios.
Can the racingline catch can work with a 4-bar map sensor? We're not racingline, so we don't really know.
No, but I have no reason to suggest otherwise if it works. The stock ones,
why wouldn't it?
Yeah, the stock ones are direct. The 4 bars we have are direct drop-ins for the 3-bar.
I mean, is there a clearance issue or something? Or
yeah, they're dimensionally the same. So.
Yeah, as far as we know, there's no issue. If you'd like to elaborate on why you're asking that. Is there a lower output file for the 2.9 twin turbo as you have for the 3.0 T? I have not released one.
We haven't done one. We've talked about it a little bit in the background. It's not.
That's what we were running at Laguna, though.
Well, we were testing a bunch of different stuff there. So
we have tested a lower output file, which is nice for on track.
But that one's even more. We were playing with a bunch of different configuration.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be having some more variants up on that file as well.
We're just not seeing any of the concerns, for reliability with the 2.9 TT. Apparently Audi nailed the code on that one.
Damn it.
I saw one actually.
You did it?
Same dealer that did the other 5.
I have heard of one stock one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have as well.
Same cylinder.
A piston.
Yeah.
Our car's been rock solid. We did have to put head studs in it, but it's been solid ever since.
Yeah, that car has been run through the ringer, and the amount of boost and power we've been making did necessitate that. As a follow-up there, I just put it in.
This one. Yeah. Is there any revisions for the Stage 3 720 file? It has not.
It has not been any.
I've not seen any. Is the tune that solid and no need for any?
There's been a couple. I don't know when you jumped on board.
There's been some revisions.
There's been some small ones,
but I think what they're referring to is like the standard output treatment,
right? No,
which is the same kind of question.
No, we've got advanced launch coming. That'll be a big update. And like we said, we are working on a couple of different. I don't know what you want to call them, setups.
We just haven't, to reiterate, we haven't seen the need for a lower output detuned version of that file. They've been rock solid across the board. So if there's a desire for that, something we can focus on. We're constantly improving and refining all of our files all the time.
And we spoke to this a little bit, and like we just mentioned, we were testing a bunch of stuff at Laguna. A lot of that is just to have a I don't know, you can call it a track endurance, whatever file. We're managing. The biggest problem is managing the heat output. And getting a consistent experience on track is the thermal conditions that we're able to deal with. You can go out, you'll have a super strong lap or two, and then everything gets up to temperature, everything gets warm. Your temperatures start building, and then you start derating power to manage it. We're just playing with what's that great balance where we can manage the maximum amount of output consistently. Lap after lap. So I had a gentleman at the open house that was mentioning that they were able to notice the power reduction.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a thing. Everything's getting hot. He was at 100 and whatever degree day at Thunder Hill and an RS5.
That's brutal.
And he's like, well, can't you just make more power? So when it reduces, I just have more, and it just has to reduce further because it's a thermal limit you were dealing with. So it's not like you can just keep running more power and just pull it back a little bit.
No, he thought, Well, and that function is actually built into the ECU as well.
100%. Yeah.
Until the cooling system.
Yeah.
As ambient temperatures vary, or as the air temp goes up, which is unfavorable for power, the factory ECU will actually compensate to keep power output up.
It'll be more, it'll be more aggressive.
Yeah, but then you run into kind of the cooling system thermal limitations. Yeah. So then now everything has to come down. So there's multiple strategies at play. Some are increasing the power to make it consistent due to ambient air temps. But once the cooling system can no longer keep up with that,
or the resulting air temps out of the intake, if the intercooler can't again cool it enough, it's going to also derate power.
Right. Yeah. So but that's related to the cooling system capacity in the car, whether it's the coolant or the air cooling as well, intercooling. Someone's asking, what's Javad's next vacation location? I'm actually going to Yosemite in October. I will be going to Las Vegas for SEMA, which is kind of a little bit of a vacation. But I need to get like a real vacation on the calendar. I know I want to go to Europe with Tanza. So we will probably go this like early next year. We want to go to Rome and Spain. So yeah, hopefully that works out. last year I went to Greece and to Paris and UK. So I love Europe. I want to go to Europe. Like, that's my goal now at this point in my life, at least like twice a year, and just see the stuff. So if you have any good suggestions. All right, let's do the thing with the IE.
Oh,
Someone says, thoughts or opinions on the video another tuner posted last week claiming that the OEM tune on the B9 3.0 V6 has faulty ignition timing correction too. So we released the statements middle of last week.
yeah, we were getting a lot of inquiries through our support channels.
Yeah, our current 034 tuning customers were asking, is this a problem in your tune too? Because our competitor, Integrated Engineering, came out with basically a statement saying that there have been a lot of engine failures on IE tuning. There's a lot of threads. I was looking at there's threads on Audi World, on Audi Zine, a lot of Facebook groups, and there's been a lot of engine failures on IE tuning. So essentially, IE is admitting that there have been a high number of engine failures on their tuning. But their response was to come out basically saying that it was Audi's fault and that there is code in the factory Audi file that was causing pistons to fail.
And the calibration of the timing knobs specifically is what I gathered they were getting at.
So if you go on their Instagram, this is probably the first and only time I would ever send anyone to IE's Instagram, but feel free to, you can see, just to, in full disclosure, they can represent them. We're not here to represent IE, but they can represent themselves, and that's through their Instagram. So if you'd like to see the other side of it, that's where it is. But I'll just read the statement we released, and then we can discuss it. But basically, this is what we're sending to our customers. Thank you for reaching out for clarification on IE's recent post video. IE is claiming that low RPM partial throttle ignition timing corrections are resulting in the engine failures that have been happening sporadically on B9 3.0Ts of various stages, and that this is from a timing map found in the base Audi calibration that they used in their tuned files. Their claim continues by stating they have solved this issue by reducing timing and part throttle conditions. 034 Motorsport calibrators, along with several other unaffiliated, reputable calibrators, and now pretty much majority of people out there.
People that are
if you go,
touched to calibration.
The tide has really turned in the last few days. But 034 calibrators and other reputable calibrators have found that the ignition correction IE posted about and shared data logs of is entirely normal operation of the factory knock sensing system and Audi's OE original equipment ECUs, and is not actually problematic. What was filmed and shown by IE is standard OE ignition control that is found across all factory German vehicle tuning, as well as performance calibrations, and would not result in any damage to the engine internals or hardware. We are not sure why IE is posting this normal part load timing control and stating it is a problem. You will need to ask them to more clearly explain why they feel this normal knock control system is problematic. To reiterate, what they have shared is normal ECU knock control behavior, not an issue, nor would it cause damage to engine internals. As such, IE making changes to their files based on the information they presented would not have any impact on 034 Motorsport calibrations, and this is nothing that should concern 034 Motorsport customers.
Yeah, it was such a bizarre video. There was so little information to base such a sweeping claim on. Was the biggest thing that caught me. It was like, if you want to make that claim, you need to then have like individual cylinder pressures monitored and show what the before and after effects of the changes that were made were, and why the factory models and the factory systems were getting into a dangerous situation with cylinder pressures that would cause whatever, the fault that they've never clearly stated they were fixing was.
So, I mean, to be clear, you better believe that if what I was saying was true, we would be running, to make changes to if it was a problem in our files. We would be releasing updates right now if there was anything to it. So, when Nate and I saw this, our first reaction was like, this doesn't make any sense. That there's a big problem with, there's a couple of big problems, but there's a very big problem. If you read anything that IE has posted, they talk about the failure, which is a damaged or broken piston. And they talk about ignition timing values that are too retarded, that don't have enough advance. And then they don't discuss a motive failure at all. So they never say...
You're saying there was the too retarded, that the knock correction system was pulling too much advance. Yeah.
That's their statement, is that the factory Audi ignition timing is pulling too much timing under part load conditions. What I just said in our position is it's not. That's normal ignition system behavior for the factory ECU. But they mention something about knock, but they don't say like what the motive failure is. So is it the result of ignition timing that's causing EGTs that are too high, that's causing the piston to melt? Is there pre-detonation that's creating extreme combustion pressures that's damaging? They don't talk about the motive failure. So they've actually been asked about this several times, and they say that the motive failure is the failed piston. So they don't even know what motive failure means. The failure is the piston. Motive failure is what is the thing that's causing it to fail. The ignition timing alone can't damage the piston. So what is happening to do that? So they're very vague about it. And, I think I'm not sure how this will go well for them. It's going very poorly. I hope, it would suck to be an IE customer right now and to be caught up in all this. But from one tuning company to another, if we ever did this, we would have damn discrete, clear, scientific proof that this was the case. Because otherwise, what it comes across is you're just trying to avoid blame.
It was so little.
Like, oh, you blew up your motor, but it's Audi's fault. Which is, and there is something going on here. There are reports of factory engines failing. Tuned engines have failed. We have very few documented cases of engine failures on our tuning. It's essentially noise. Not to the people that
it sucks for those that it's happened to.
But as far as like if you do the statistically, it's a very small and insignificant number of failures. At a high level. So I think we don't claim to have all the answers. We can confidently say that what IE is saying is wrong. There's no basis to it.
Yeah, with the amount of information provided,
and they've been able to provide in 1 week now no new information to support their claim. They're floundering. It's pretty hard to watch. I think that this is a relatively new platform. We're all trailblazing, across an area of performance tuning that nobody has ever done before. So we don't have all the answers. We have made some changes to our files to improve the envelope of safety.
Yep.
But I think there will be more information that comes out. It won't be that Audi's base calibrations are the fault.
I can guarantee you, if we find something like that, there'll be a hell of a lot more information provided with before, after, its reasonings, logics.
We would prove it. It would be, and we would isolate variables to make sure that is actually the thing that's causing it. But it's not like there are instances of OEM engine failures, but I think you could look at any car, and again, we don't know what the numbers are, but you could look at any car, and yes, a certain number of cars are going to have engine failures, but there's not some huge dramatic number of factory Audis that are having engine failures. It's just not happening. So, but yes, you could, out of 100,000+ cars, you can point around and find 10 examples but that's still like a really, really small number. So if you have any follow-up questions, are there any follow-ups or anything? Okay. Let us know.
Yeah,
we're not here to badmouth IE or kick them when they're down.
No, this became a thing we had to address because we were having customers that were contacting us because the way it was stated was so just like it was facts, like it was they figured it out. Here's the fix, and for 99% of the people out there with these calibrations on their cars, they don't know the technical or have the technical vocabulary even to question what's being said. So we just have to try and educate and as much as we can and try and parse what they're getting at in this case because there was so little information provided.
It was interesting because the first day or so it was universal wow, I can't believe this. It's crazy that Audi messed up, and we were just that's. And sure enough,
you can go log. Any car I've logged in, I don't know, the past 15 years has looked similar.
Totally.
BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, normally aspirated, turbocharged, supercharged. They've all got similar behaviors, and will certainly be exacerbated if you're in a hot climate, 91 octane, climbing a hill with a low gear. It's all normal stuff.
Yep. There was a pretty heinous comment.
That was the only.
That's a little spicy.
Well, whoever made that comment, we agree. Someone says, "Thanks for clearing that up with IE. I have a stock S4 and was wondering what was going on." Yeah, I don't. No, nothing's going on. Not like that. Does the Stage 1 TCU tune for the RS3 provide any benefit when on track in manual mode, or is auto preferred?
The shift points are going to be lifted in auto a bit. I really have never almost driven on track in auto mode. I like to put my car in the gear that I want to be in.
We're always in manual mode.
So no, 100%. I want the car to do what I'm intending on it to do. I don't want it to kick down. I don't want it to do anything other than stay in the gear I've got it in as much as possible.
Yeah, when you're on track, manual mode, 100%.
The catch to that is if you're learning, if you're fairly inexperienced on track, auto everything. Just work on the line, the brakes. But if you want to start worrying about what's better and what's more performant, and
if you want to go faster and you want to control the car, then you want to be the one shifting.
Yep. No, if the first couple track days out, it's leave all the traction controls on, leave everything on, work on a smooth, consistent line, and then start working on the rest of the car control stuff.
B9 S5, when would you guys recommend to purchase the intercooler? I have cold air intake and turbo inlet with a stage 1 tune on 93.
No.
It's a very beneficial mod on stage 1 and up. There is power to be had, but it's also the consistency of power delivery will improve dramatically. So not only will you make more power, you'll make more power more often consistently. Because with the factory intercooler, you can kind of rip through one gear and then the intercooler is now done. So if you want to shift another gear, your power is just going to be dropping as you accelerate. So it's a great mod. There's power from flow, but there's also power from lowering of the heat in the intake.
And much more consistent.
Yes. Where did the name 034 come from? Oh man, we have a t-shirt about how it's described or how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
The name 034 is the part group designation for earlier Audi 5-cylinder engines. So this is, the main bearings for an Audi i5 would be 034 dash 105 dash. Yeah.
Really cool.
Anyone?
034 parts of any kind, behind us here. It's all a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah. So when I started the company, every company out there was pretty much a 3-letter acronym, and kind of still.
Yeah.
But and at that this was early 2000s. That was a time when company names got listed in directories alphabetically, and so 0 would always be at the top of the list. So I liked that. But mainly it was there was no company that I'd ever heard of that had a number in its name. So I thought it was catchy, and then I really liked how esoteric it was. And then I actually, when was that? In like probably 05? I seriously contemplated changing the name.
Happy Motor Turbo Sport or something like that, or whatever.
Nate was there.
We put the feelers out to friends and family, like, hey, a good name for this place would be.
I was leaning towards engine sport, and also like motorsport, but engine sport. But the company started as 034 EFI, and so I think that just really stuck. And within 2-3 years of that, it was still like year 034. So we went to motorsport because it was much more broad. Ushered in the whole product line. And
the entire company was centered. It was centered on that EFI controller, a standalone ECU.
But motorsport gave us a much bigger, opportunity to do anything and everything with a car.
Yep.
So, shout out 034. I write process instructions for a living and enjoy the humorous touch you guys have added to the install instructions.
Awesome.
Great, yeah. This is like 034 history story time, but when I started the company, I wrote really like probably stuff you can't do now because you get canceled, but like really sarcastic, really dank product descriptions.
And then install instructions, forget it, because most of the products we have are aimed at, like, if you need instructions for this, you're in the wrong place.
Well, I think that was the instructions for a long time. It's like,
because these are like one-off, custom everything, standalone ECU stuff. So there's no like book to do that on every car.
Yeah. But yeah, the product descriptions were pretty racist and very chauvinistic and just very like, I mean, they were like catering to like,
I can't remember if they were racist per se, but there was definitely some racy,
not racist. And they were just real.
They tried to equally offend.
Yeah, they were offensive, but it was very much from a perspective of we're hardcore guys doing hardcore parts for hardcore cars, kind of just like, and
no BS.
But that humorous kind of way of marketing and branding the company just translated into the April Fool's jokes products that we've done, which really nobody was doing in the early to mid 2000s, and our product descriptions, and it's still in our install instructions. So we try to like we are here, make jokes and aren't afraid to joke about stuff.
I mean, if we're standing over your shoulder watching you install it, you'll probably hear a lot of the same terminology. It's the documents.
Oh man, a lot of questions.
Yeah, sorry guys, we got like pages of questions still. This one,
which one?
That one seemed reasonable.
Which one?
I just said that guy.
If you tune your car while stock and then add an intake intercooler after, do you have to reflash, or how does that work exactly?
No, you don't need to reflash. The unless it's a hardware change that has a subsequent stage level of software or some other specific software that goes along with it, then no. I know that was a huge thing in like the Subi world, where it's like, oh, I got my tune, I got an intake on it, I got my tune plus an intake, and then you got an intercooler, it's tune, intake, intercooler, and sway bar links for some reason. But there's like a tune for everything, for every hardware combo. I don't.
Yeah, the Subaru world.
The Subaru world is very crazy.
You put an intake on your car without a tune, you're gonna blow up.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, the older ones are way simpler than these ECUs. I mean, it was a map based. If your VE changed at all, your tune was going to be off.
But this is a function of the power of these ECUs that you can make these changes. So usually, if you go on our tuning page, you can see the supported or recommended products for each stage of tuning. There are things that you don't want to do. That you do need to, you'll have to flash from stage 1 to stage 2, or from stage 1 to stage 3, or there are considerations here. But if you have any questions, just shoot us an email to tuning@034motorsport.com.
That's a good filter though. Anything in our required and recommended list on that tune, you don't need to retune at any time.
So like a B9 S4 stage 1, you can do the intake, you can do the intercooler, you could do our throttle body inlet,
end links,
all the end links you could ever want to do. Yeah. Oh, there was a question about turning or steering. Oh, okay. Need advice. Just picked up a B9 S5 and the steering doesn't feel as connected to the road as it should be. Any recommendations? Yeah, so definitely front and rear sway bars are springs. If you do the springs and sway bars, that will like transform the car. And then I would strongly suggest doing our camber camber control arms, and giving the car a little bit of camber. You don't have to give it a ton, but add a degree of camber to stock, even a half a degree. And that combined with the springs and the sway bars is going to make the car feel completely different. It will give you that kind of steering feel and urgency that you're looking for, that responsiveness.
Yeah, and a good alignment shop that's willing to work on that and kind of knows a little bit about performance alignments can go a long way.
Yeah.
Your rear alignment will affect a lot of the way the car actually kind of its nimbleness and its feeling sensation as well. So
yeah,
don't forget about that guy.
Mm-hmm. I told my S5 definitely will be tuning with you guys again once I get another S5. What I have to repay for the tune.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry to hear. Our tunes are sold and tied to a VIN. So, but if you shoot us an email to contact, we will definitely help you out. You will not have to like buy a whole new tune all over again. But we usually have there's a cost associated to adding it to another VIN.
Yeah, we're not monsters though.
We're not trying to like profit from your tragedy. So we're sorry to hear that. What's the easiest way to install the downpipe upgrade for B9 S4? Yeah, definitely.
The easiest way. That's
have a reputable shop do it for you.
There you go.
It's not a super hard job, right?
It took me 2.5 hours with the car a little warm.
Yeah, so it's like a 2 or 3.
With the right tools, it's very easy. Without the right tools, not easy at all.
Yeah, there's some DIYs out there that'll list kind of the key tools.
If you have like,
because I think you can do it all from the
feet, if you have S wrenches,
the right crow's feet, the right S wrenches, and then I think you can do it all from the top too, right?
All from the top.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've never done it because we have qualified technicians.
He does the easiest route.
Yes.
Yeah. But we do end up doing a lot of those here with all the.
I will say the turbo
and all the testing and what's that?
The turbo is much easier to do than doing a downpipe swap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's like
right there.
Yeah, you guys are spoiled. I saw the Mk8 Golf R springs drop. Are the Mk8 GTI springs coming soon? Yes, they are. Speaking of issues, we did receive the shipment of springs, but they were out of specification.
Oh, you're going back to the first question. Yep.
Yeah.
Some product tolerances and QC stuff.
So the release has been delayed because basically the ride height was out of specification. I mean, the springs work, but we want the ride to be as
what we're
trying to spec as and what you would expect as possible. So
this one is pretty good too.
Hey guys, new question. I've been told by friends that in order to achieve the torque horsepower numbers on your website for stage 1 on 91 Audi S5 B9, I need the stage 1 ECU and stage 2 TCU, and that the stage 1 TCU is simply there to enable the tune to work. It doesn't output the 491 torque. Is that true? I don't see any mention of this on the website. I'm wondering if they're just pranking me.
I don't know if they're pranking you. It's
a lot of what you said is accurate.
Yeah, it's a difficult, maybe, I don't know, not difficult, but a kind of a weird concept to comprehend if you don't know the underpinning reasons. But no, the stage 1 TCU file will give you all of the torque that raises the torque threshold and how much torque the TCU knows about and will allow the ECU to make. So, and that's, you'll get all of it. What the stage 2 TCU will do then is optimize that transmission file for better shift points, faster shifts, launch control changes, myriad of other things that go in there you'll see in the product page. But as far as the base, like torque unlock and the amount of torque you're making, it's not going to make a difference.
No.
But it will, what it will do is make it feel and drive noticeably better.
Sorry, we have a lot of questions today, guys, and we haven't.
We're already over time.
Gotten to them all. So, thank you once again for joining us. I think we will see you next week. I don't know. I'm not here Monday, but maybe mid next week.
Okay.
Cheers. Thanks.